Good afternoon. How are you today? Well, it's 50-something and slightly overcast, but it's spring, so it's got to be great, right? In terms of our self-preservation, notice that the Omicron has beget a variance and the numbers are going up again. So ignore your neighbors who are gleefully running around without masks because they're too stupid to know any better. And take precautions yourself, because apparently you're the only one who cares about yourself. And I was encouraged to see Fauci was on the talk shows today, which is a signal that somebody's listening to him. What else? Tomorrow we have the hearings on my favorite nominee to go to the Supreme Court, Judge Jackson from the D.C. Circuit, whom I've praised before for how from the time she was a kid onward, she's had a calling in the law, in her studies, representing the abused and misunderstood, as I call people in the criminal or civil justice system, and as a judge. And as a judge, I've always asked, is the judge a verb or a noun in this case? And she is a verb. That is to say that she makes decisions, but she follows the law. And to the extent a fact presents a more difficult question, she embraces it and deals with it. So what can you say against this woman? Well, the Republicans do. And what their questions are is, she wants to ask the question while on the Sentencing Commission whether or not there were gradations that made any sense in the case of pornographic images. And they take that question to mean that she's pro-porn. Do you ever hear anything so stupid in your life? But they say this stuff, so what does that say about the person who declares it or the audience that might believe it? Another one is, she represents terrorists. Well, stop the music there, because there is no person she ever represented who was at Guantanamo who was found to be a terrorist. In fact, the people she represented, they were not told what the charges were. They were not told what the evidence was. They held them there and tortured them and wouldn't give them a hearing. And finally, the Supreme Court said they were entitled to the rights of any other person who has to face justice, quote, justice in our courts. And so ultimately, the people she represented were released because no charges were filed, none were proven, etc. So that's how the Republicans think. You would think they'd be more chary of how they talk about criminal law, given how there are so many damn criminals in the Republican Party who, among other things, would overthrow our government. And they, nibble around the edges looking for something that the judge might have done that in their mind might be wrong. Finally, we have the question of the war in Ukraine by overlord Putin, our most recently declared evil leader, bully, tyrant on earth. It's a little wonder that he and Trump get along. They both have the same methods in mind. And the question here, I think I'm going to make my podcast about that this evening, which is, what happened to the law? There is law that covers everything that brought us to this point. There's the UN Charter. There's a Budapest Memorandum on the local problem. There are wars present crimes. And so a war crime is killing a civilian rather than a non-combatant, just killing them, suffocating them, cutting off the means to living, and so forth. By the way, I think that Zelensky is in a very difficult position because he has a conscience. And he's trying to figure out how to balance saving his people who are suffering so much, who he's shared this undertaking with, to stall the invasion by Putin. And he struggles with us U.S. and Western powers to give him the equipment he needs, perhaps now he could even win this war. He continues to stall them. He hurts them in several ways in the battlefield. He could yet win this. And we hold the keys to the kingdom, but we won't share them for fear of what? We've already given missiles and everything else, and we're not concerned to help him carry the day, or at least deter the further violence and brutality that is Putin. So, I am in my cathedral of trees, and I believe today with all my heart and soul that there is daylight. That is to say, there is hope in this world as long as there's a Zelensky, as long as there are people like Judge Jackson. And we have to be looking for such people and support them wherever we find them. So, have a good day. All the best. Bye-bye.